Want a live interview with viral hip hop news? Email me, Sam Ant, at dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. Let's go.
A lot of information. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up. It's been a lot. Testimony and things like that. How do you feel so far? Because we, over the last year and a half, we've been talking. We've been like, yo, where's the information? Where's the evidence at? Now we're seeing little bits of evidence start to come out, which is really maybe not even evidence, it's just one person's, rendition, Cassie's rendition. What would you say now? Somebody had to ask you, like, yo, how do you feel about how the trial was going right now?
Update, Cassie on the stand, her first day of cross-examination. And I don't want to say it's super intense because Diddy's lawyer, Anna Estevea, she's doing an amazing job at being very gentle. I mean, Cassie and her have exchanged a few laughs while she was on the stand, which I thought was pretty incredible. And additionally, there's a lot of explicit graphic text that we're seeing from Cassie to Diddy and vice versa. And Estevea is saying, look, if you don't want to read these, you don't have to, which I thought was really nice. Also, when Cassie answers and it's kind of a yes or no question, Estevea isn't like, it's yes or no. She's being very, very calm and very kind. Now, what we saw, like right off the bat here, was a conversation via BlackBerry between Diddy and Cassie about 2.5 years into their relationship. And remember, at this point, Cassie testified during direct that he had abused her. She didn't want to do freak offs, all this stuff. And she actually said that he said, I miss you already. When do you want to FO? That was Diddy. And she said, I'm always ready to FO. And again, this was August of 2009, about 2 years into their relationship. They talk about when it would be best for them. And then they talk about getting an escort involved. And then we see a text message that says, I can't wait to stare at your BBD. You guys know what I'm talking about. And again, lawyer did not make her say it out loud. There's, a lot of explicit text messages. And look, I think some of the takeaways here at what the defense is doing and what they're eliciting out of Cassie is, again, the email saying she loves him after these FOs. And don't get mad at me. Don't tell me, I understand how trauma works, but I'm just relaying all this to you guys. So Cassie testified that she had to do freak offs during her period. And we were shown an email where Diddy, for FO planning purposes, asks her when she's getting her period. And she says she's skipping it that month. Additionally, she testified that she didn't want to be a swinger because she didn't want to see him with another woman. Well, we see an exchange where she says she has a fantasy about seeing him with another woman. And I'm paraphrasing here. She also says at one point that, quote, she'd travel anywhere to be with him. And this is while they are discussing an FO in this one message, this BlackBerry message. Another big thing here is the drug talk and the opioid talk. So Cassie testified that Diddy told her he was addicted to opioids. And the defense is basically saying, well, did you see him try to get off these opioids or come down from them? And she said, yeah. And then they said, well, that makes one volatile, angry. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but basically what they were alluding to is that Diddy's violent behavior and aggressive behavior and all of his mood swings that she talked about were because he was coming down from opioids. Let me make sure. I feel like I have so many notes from today. Again, a lot of graphic messages, mainly about Cassie saying how much she liked it after it happened. It was so good, and she's talking about FOs. Oh, something really big that they're trying to prove here. Cassie felt like she didn't have the words to relate to Diddy because she was so young that she didn't want to do this and yada yada, referring to the FOs. Well, we've seen a lot of messages from Cassie to Diddy that are paragraphs, let's say, explaining certain things to him, really seeming to wear her heart on her sleeve. At one point she said, look, I'm unsure about the FOs because I feel like, before when we were doing them, and this is a few years into their relationship, she said, before we were doing them, I could spend time with you after. Now we're doing them and you're leaving right away for work and I'm not getting that time with you. So the defense is kind of like, well, it looks like she's able to communicate this stuff. And is it fair to say that this is the reason that you didn't want to do freak offs? Not everything that you testified yesterday. Again, don't get mad at me. I'm just explaining about what the defense's strategy seems to be and what they're going for. Oh, they also went into the fact that, look, you testified that it would take you days to come down from these FOs and you would waste so much time of your life trying to recover. You know, Diddy was doing the same thing. He was coming down from these too. You know, is it fair to say that he was still running a business, running running his own life, running Bad Boy Records and traveling here and there, basically saying, well, you know, he was fine. He didn't have to recover for days. That's your problem. Again, just some observations. Cassie doing a great job holding it together, so calm, so poised. And Anna Estevea, really great. I mean, a lot of defense attorneys can badger these witnesses and really come across unlikable to the jury. But like I said, they're sharing laughs. They, you know, she's not too aggressive. She's getting her point across without being a jerk. So I will give you guys more later. And I mean, you're probably going to see it printed on TMZ everywhere else, but these text messages are so graphic. And I just feel so bad for Cassie because she was so young, and to have her sex life just plastered, you know, on these big screens and of course across the media world, crazy. Oh, we also saw this morning in line, we saw her brother walk in. Her husband is not in the courtroom because he can't be, because he may be called as a witness and they're getting into some things that he shouldn't hear. But he was here yesterday. But anyway, more later. Thanks, guys.
How do I feel how the trial is going right now? I'm going to say
testimony, yeah,
with 100% confidence that as of now, Diddy's getting off. Diddy's getting off. And here's why, because I think it was extreme negligence on the government's behalf to make this a federal case based off of what we've seen thus far. This looks like a clear case of domestic violence. And if the state was charging him with domestic violence and he was being judged on that, then I don't think there's any reason how you could say he was innocent. He looks like that's a blind man could see that he's guilty of domestic violence. But when you have RICO, racketeering, kidnapping, pedophilia, all of these serious allegations, the reason why he's in court, and I think a lot of people forget to realize that he's not in court because of what he did to Cassie. As ugly and as disgusting as it is, it's not why he's there. And from what I've heard so far, it looks like the prosecution brought her in as their golden goose and is going to paint this dude to be the most vile, disgusting man on the planet and hopefully sway a jury to convict him of something completely different than what he's actually being charged for. So, or what he's actually guilty of, I should say. So right now, the way it looks to me is Diddy's getting off. I'm not condoning any of his behavior. I'm not saying that he should be welcome home with a hero's welcome or anything like that. Dude is a dickhead and an asshole, clearly. But is he guilty of what they're telling us he's guilty of? As of now, I don't see it, bro.
Yeah, I don't like, I maybe see domestic violence, you know, a drug addict and a weird freak.
Yep.
That's what I see. Is it morally right? No. Criminally, maybe years ago when this happened, but now it's like they trying to paint this picture like he was sex trafficking people.
Right.
It looks like to me like this man was going on Craigslist, hitting up escorts and people who's down for the
in the area. He wasn't bringing people over state line. He ain't have to do all that shit.
Right. And you know, it's like, you know, you go to a party, if there's drugs there, you partake in it. It was alcohol, whatever you want to do, you're going to do. It didn't seem like he was forcing anybody. Nothing in her testimony said that Diddy forced her. He shoved something down my throat. She was a willing participant, you know, in a lot of this. Now they're trying to paint the picture like it was like some, you know, emotional coercion, like she wanted to do it because she didn't want to make him mad. But then we got today's testimony where she's saying, like, look, she was down for the freak offs, according to the text messages. And she said she would even set the freak offs up to make so he wouldn't even be mad. Like, I'm not trying to paint her any type of way. I'm just going up with the testimony saying. And I don't see the sex trafficking aspect of this case. It looked like so far, and it could change, that the government wanted him and they jumped out the window with this case that's flimsy as hell, in my opinion. Very flimsy. And I was waiting to see, like, where's the bombshell shit? Like, this is a freaky ass dude that was doing some freaky ass shit.
And
you know,
and that's it. Like, it wasn't like, and I was talking to my wife today. She's like, well, they didn't bring up this whole trial or anything without any further evidence or more bombshell witness. I'm like, well, where's they at? When they gonna bring them out? He's like, well, we're only a weekend. I'm like, yeah, but they emptying their clip pretty crazy, and it seemed like the only clip they got is Cassie. And if that's the case, then it's gonna be a lot of pissed off people out here when they see that gavel get thrown and he's innocent. Because unless there's a bigger thing in play, based off of the evidence right now, I don't see what he's being charged with. I just don't. And then I was feeling like this last week when it was just when it was just her side, when the defense didn't even get their side yet. It was just the prosecution laying out the details, laying out everything that happened. They talked to the escort, they talked to Cassie, and the details were disgusting. But I'm looking like, okay, as disgusting as it is, where's the evidence showing that he's guilty of what he's being convicted of? And then once the defense got to it, and now it seemed like they're painting the picture as if she was a willing participant. With all due respect to any woman who has gone through any traumatic experiences, because this is what I also feel. I feel like you have victims that have gone through the experience that Cassie may have that's been going through, and they're trying to attach their trauma to this case to find vindication for this case. Don't do that. Don't do that at all, because when now we're looking at text messages and now the picture's being painted as if, okay, maybe she didn't be involved with freak off 8 out of 10, but the first 7 of them motherfuckers she was with, right? And as nasty and disgusting as he is, if there's no other person saying, where the kids at saying that they were taken against their will? Where are these people at saying that Diddy did this or that or the third? It's one person that he was in a relationship with. And it just more and more to me seemed like a domestic violence case. And the more the defense starts digging into this, the worse it looks for Cassie. Because they're going to make it seem like she was willing to do it.
Yeah, and they actually have her saying she was willing to do it. And that's going to be the power struggle here. Is like the defense is going to have a field day. They're already starting to have a field day with this. Like, hold on, you trying to make it seem like you was with this. You was setting this stuff up yourself. You was getting drugs. You was taking drugs. You was taking alcohol. You was drinking piss. You're doing all this shit. You trying to make it seem like this dude like has some superpower over you to make you do some shit against your will. But it appears from text messages and now testimony that you was down for it. Now, I can see the other side of this thing, right? We all know about dudes that are abusive and that could emotionally have somebody, you know what I mean, by the neck. We know dudes like that. We know women like that who have low self-esteem. But come on, at some point, it's like you got to take accountability for your own actions.
Yeah. Especially in a federal case. We're not talking about a domestic violence case to where dude had a manipulation. Like, okay, clearly, and I hear a lot of people saying this. Yes, he could have had power over her. Yes, he could have manipulated her with words. Yes, his age difference could have definitely manipulated her mind or put her in a situation where she feels like she couldn't get out. Of course, all of that rings completely true.
Right.
But we're not talking about that in this particular situation. He's not being tried for that. So like people are really trying to mix everything up. And I'm telling you, they're setting themselves up for a serious disappointment, because as of now, and we don't have any horse in the race, whether they say he's guilty or innocent, we're going to come in here and talk the same way we talking. Right. But just as it looks right now, man, it looked like he's going to get off.
Yeah. And today it's they said Diddy's lawyer reveals that Cassie and Diddy called themselves the Get High partners.
It's not good.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I was thick as thieves in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me she ain't enjoyed this? That's something like, I mean, you know, I know people are going to look at this the wrong way because we're men and, you know, they, like you said, they're associated with maybe something they've been through or somebody that they know. So it's going to look like we attacking. We just cutting it straight down the middle. At a point in time before more testimony started coming out, I started like, damn, this nigga Diddy's a monster. Yeah, and I still kind of think like, yo, he's a creep.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
you can't listen to those details and think she's like. I don't think that Cassie's lying. When she says that she was involved or being abused or anything. I'm not sitting here saying that woman's a liar. I'm sitting here saying, what's it got to do with what he's being charged with? We have to really understand that part, because yeah, we're hearing all this stuff and it's terrible on the ears. But if you're a human being, how can you listen to this shit and not be affected by it? But when you break it all down, man, that ain't the name of this game here. And phew, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't think Diddy will ever recover. I don't think that even if he's set free, he'll never be the Diddy that we remembered. He'll never be that mogul. We'll never see him in the parties, anything like that again. His image has been completely annihilated. So if that was the mission accomplished. And let me ask you this. What do you think about Cassie settling for $20 million, receiving that $20 million, only to go and get on the stand anyway? Do you find any issue looking at this situation in that? Do you have an issue with her taking the money and then taking a stand? Because I know a lot of people were upset about that too.
I kind of feel like she was coerced by the federal government, maybe even bribed. You know what I mean? And maybe she wanted to get this off her chest. Well, do it in a book. Do it, you know what I mean? On you know what I mean? You want to go to court and prosecute this man? You know, stuff that happened, Matt. Like, how they even got text messages in 2009, 2010? Like, how the hell you like? Damn! Like, what's going on here? So they didn't
even got the same phone. My bad. Like,
it's like it's crazy. So, but apparently she was, this was something that was weighing on her for years. She would go to her mom, show her mom bruises and things like that. Obviously, with the guy that she ended up marrying or whatever, you could tell he was like a safe space for her. He was training her, I guess, and he probably started confiding in her, and she felt safe, with him. But I honestly felt like at a point in time that she was down with it, and she over time she maybe got tired of it. Maybe she was around for the money, the fame, and her career, because she already admitted it. Like, yo, I didn't want to stop because I felt I could be blackballed, or I felt like I could lose my career. You know what I mean?
It's real, but it's a choice. That's still a choice.
Still a choice. It's definitely still a choice. And so I mean, I really have no qualms about it. I mean, it could be looked like as fugazi and wrong for her to take the 20 mil and still go after him, but it kind of is what it is. I really didn't see nothing, terribly wrong with it. I kind of expected it.
Yeah, me too. And I don't, like I said, I'm not jumping over the hill saying that she took the 20 million, she should shut up or anything like that. I think the 20 million was so that she didn't write a book, but then the federal government gets involved, and that's one of the only witnesses. She gonna go do what the federal government says. Don't give a damn what her and Diddy agreed upon or anything like that. It don't even matter. Like, you are going to testify or else. Or we don't know what the situation was. What do you think of now? What was interesting to me that the prosecution brought up was this whole situation with Kid Cudi. Now, allegedly, Cassie and Kid Cudi may have had something going on. Diddy didn't like it. Allegedly, did something to Homeboy's car and did all this stuff. That was interesting to me. Now we're talking about some type crime shit, but in my opinion, they would need Kid Cudi's involvement in that, and I don't think he's gonna cooperate.
Right. I mean, I think Diddy is the guy that we see him to be. Like, whatever we see, that vision that we have of Diddy, I think that's what he is.
Yep.
Like, you see it like a guy in a movie running around, sniffing cocaine, smoking cigars, drinking, smacking people, acting like he's the boss. Like, that's him, I think.
That's him.
Putting hits out on people, all that. Like, it's like you see in the movies. That's what I think he is. Sex with multiple, want to see his girl get banged. I really feel like he's that dude. I never really had good vibes about Diddy, ever. And people always would say stuff like, yo, he got the devil in his eyes. And every time you put a video up, remember that shit? They be going on Diddy and this and that. And, so I'm not surprised, man. I'm really not surprised by the whole thing. But, yeah, he but these are crimes, man, that happened so long ago. When he's speaking even specifically for that one, it's like he's not being tried. He's being tried for, RICO, sex trafficking.
Yeah.
That's the part I really just, don't see. But they're going to try. It's really wicked what they're doing, the government, because Cassie is the star witness. They're going to make it seem like she was doing this shit against her will.
Yep. They're using her.
Yeah, they're using it. And it's up to the defense to say hell no. And they got to sway the jury, which I think they're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I think Diddy will walk, in my opinion.
I do too. And I didn't know, like, the day one, day two, I'm like, oh, when it started and they said the trial is on, there was a thought in my mind like, yo, if they have what they say they have, they will make a serious example. We've seen it happen with Dr. Cosby. See what currently is going on with R. Kelly. These brothers are not invincible to being thrown in jail for, football field long time. Like, they're not acceptable to that. So if they had something, Diddy's ass is grass. And as of now, I'm just like, holy shit. I'm more surprised that he's going to walk than he is actually being guilty. I'm surprised right now that, that the federal government really is laying out what they're laying out and using Cassie as their main person. When we knew dude like pissing on people. I think Young Miami said it. Like, all the things that they're laying out, as disgusting as it is, it's nothing new. So it's like, man, I hope they did a real injustice on this. If they really looking for justice and really looking for justice to be served, they didn't do the due diligence properly, man. They didn't.
And like, one thing I'm kind of surprised about, you don't hear nothing about him with men. That was like the big rumor.
Exactly.
She never said nothing about him, you know what I mean, with men or nothing like that, or men doing this. It was just he like watching this girl get banged out
Right.
by other dudes.
By other dudes.
Yeah, so
which is very weird. But
yeah, but we all know they got a whole porn thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a fetish for some guys, you know, along with other fetishes out there. So very sick, very disturbing, but is it illegal? If it's your choice, no, illegal.
Domestic violence, but he's not being charged for that, so we'll never see him in jail for that, unfortunately.